I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken, so it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Compromise Show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, May 28th. We have a great show planned for you. We are actually on part 30 of the Real Pilgrim, the true story of immigrants coming to America. Now, the source of reference that we are using for this series, the main one is White Trash, the 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. They were white and they were slaves. The Untold History of the Enslavement of Whites in Early America by Michael A. Hoffman II. The last one, this is our second time using this book in a series, The Negro Question, Part 6, The 13 Black Colonies by Lee Cummings. All right, so before we get started, I am going to make an announcement. I told you all that I were looking at other technologies. So next week, we are going to test it out. For the YouTube family, nothing will change for you. For those of you that are calling in, you are going to use a new call-in number. So I will give you this number now, but if you don't remember it or whatever the case may be, you can look at the promos on YouTube or go to Facebook, and I'm going to give out this number. So bear with me, family. I got a new microphone and I literally hear my voice twice. So I'm trying to adjust. All right. So next week, The new system's dial-in number will be 515-604-9230. 515-604-9230. So that means next week we will not be using Blog Talk Radio. I am running a test next week, and if it works well, we'll give it a couple more weeks before I give Blog Talk the boot totally. All right. So with that administrative out the way, I want to send a shout out to the YouTube family. Scotty Saturn was in the house early as usual. Mardikrit Walker. We have Lisa in the house. Mr. Tyrese. Hey, my millennial. Who else do we have? G Major. Shout out to G Major. I know I'm probably missing somebody because I know I was sending some shout outs earlier. Okay, maybe I'm not. All right. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. And shout out to Sis Chatima. Okay. And so shout out to the Blog Talk family. I see 646 in the house. Real happy to see you, brother. 313-615-310. Brother 832. 832, I got something for you tonight. A follow-up on something that we talked about. 404 and 615. All right, family. So with that said, let me bring on my co-host. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, T1.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, beloved. Peace and love.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that. You know, when unmuted, that's what they usually say. But yeah, so hi to the family, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to hear your voice.
Glad
Brother
to hear
Sean?
your voice, sis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I feel better than I did last week. I was kind of like having a serious headache last week, and I couldn't shake it.
Oh, were you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I didn't eat enough.
Oh, okay. Okay. That'll do it, sis.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to Brother Sean. Brother Sean, if you're ready, press *1. Otherwise, I won't bring you on until you're ready. Yep, you're ready. Okay. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power. I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing good. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
All right, y'all. Y'all know it's so much going on.
Yes.
Baby. Sis Sandra, what you have on? Go ahead on with the fuckery for this week.
Well, you know, if Obama was in office right now, Minnesota looked just like him. Because they did all of that stuff when Obama was in office. And it stinks, really stinks, of the same old effery, as you say. I'm going to use that word. Because if they're all stepping out there, the ones that were in office, is stepping out there and said, oh, everybody has rights. But they did the same thing when they were in office. And I think it's just a setup. I think it's just a mess. I see George Soros in it with the Black Lives Matter. They had a poster already ready. Not somebody handwritten poster, but one. And they had all white folks sitting around it as a memorial to that young man. So I'm just like, you know, this don't even sound right. The officer had his hand in his pocket, as his knee was kneeling on that man's neck. Maybe. But you know what I'm saying? So, and I imagine, if I'm not mistaken, all of those are democratic states. So all the numbers for COVID, corona or COVID is higher in the democratic states. All those governors in every one of those states are resisting opening. It is just a political crap they're pulling. And what you were saying last week, that our people, they like to play our emotions. And our people don't understand. They got to sit back and just let it happen. Because for one thing, you can't bring the guy back. You can't bring the brother back at all. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Expressing yourself? Think it. Use your creative mind to change it, because they are creators and they can do that instead of going out there and be destroyers, because the script says they came to kill, steal, and destroy. So when you start destroying just like they are, you're no better, so you don't get what you want to be manifested. You got to think it and create it to make it happen, because they're going to be stopped. They are going to be stopped, because this is a new age and the time is up for all this crap. He had Biden come stepping up there with his sentiments, and that Amy person comes stepping up there with her stuff. So you can guess who he's going to choose as a vice president. And everybody wants him to choose a melanated female. Obviously, that ain't going to happen, because she's the one that answered to the call of what they had put out there with this mess. I don't know if it's a false flag or not, but it really stinks. It really stinks. And so I encourage our people, stop emoting. Stop having your emotions on your sleeve. Stand back and watch what happens. Let somebody else your battle and let you fight it with your mind, because we are the creating people. They're not the creators. They mimic. They could even go and do, like that guy, I forget, when Obama was in office, they had the young man that was riding his bicycle, and he saw the police and went another way and ended up with a broken neck and everything. Have they forgotten? And then they're going to go to the polls. I don't know what you're voting for, but they're going to go to the polls and put the same characters back in office. Same ones, because they don't learn. But that was one of the things I have to say. And another thing is, I watched Young Pharaoh. I have been watching his stuff, and I heard a lot of things about Clinton and Pizzagate and Frizzle Drip and all that kind of stuff. And what happened is, he was saying that they keep cutting him off on YouTube. They keep moving, and then another person, that other guy, had his stuff cut off, and that was the one that did 9/11. I forget his name right now. He's a white guy. They cut him off too. So President Trump, which I have to take my hats off to him, he's signed an executive order for these people to stop taking these folks off of social media just because it's politically not what they want to hear. But CNN gets out there and posts all this stuff of what they want to hear. This doesn't work. This is a lie. This is this. This is that. But people get on social media, YouTubes and all that kind of stuff, and they can't even say that. They can't even point with receipts, as you call them, that they have all this receipts of what these people is doing, because all these people own those mediums of exercising free speech. And so President Trump has written an executive order to tell those media people, and like YouTube and 8332, when he gets on, they cut you off. All that kind of stuff needs to stop. But there's a law they had in place to protect them from lawsuits, but not to censor. But they censoring everybody. But anyway, it's wrong. And that's, I had enough. I'm done.
Very, very well said, sis. I'll let Brother Sean go, but I do want to play a clip from Trump Card. on that whole media thing. And shout out to my millennial. She literally hit me to it right before I jumped on the air, and I was able to listen to it. So I'm going to share a portion of that so you all can hear what he had to say. To be honest, I was very shocked that he kind of called out the media by individual names. I didn't expect him to say as much as he did. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting.
They already debated it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
They already debating it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they have an article on it.
Of course. Yep. So, Brother Sean, you have any? Go ahead on with the fuckery.
Mm-hmm. What's that? The media. Mika Brzezinski said that the media is supposed to control people's thoughts. She said this on national TV.
Who said that, Brother Sean, again?
Mika Brzezinski.
Is that woman with that dead art stuff?
Mm-mm. Talking about Zibnu's daughter.
Oh, Zbigniew Brzezinski's daughter, okay.
Yeah. I mean...
Man. And that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but he been saying that all along. That's why.
Yeah, that's what Deep H2O is saying.
That's why he been using Twitter. And now they fucked with him on Twitter. So he like, okay. He like, next time you bitches do that, I'm shut you down. Period. Flat out. Censor somebody else with that fake fact checking shit, and I'm shutting you down. The gig is up. The party really open. People don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't even really looked into that brother being, to whatever happened to him. Because it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
If he a casualty of war and he really gone, he just had a casualty of war. We still at war. They use that to play with your emotions. That's it. They starving. Every time they fuck up with something, fleeing getting off. Biden, they after him over there in Ukraine. The gig is up. I mean, he dumb as a box of rocks. He ain't the candidate. Hillary is. They gonna flip on him in 2 minutes. And then they gonna pull her out. And Obama, you know, you can pick the brother, but Obama gonna be the vice. So you
right.
You know it wasn't prayers. So, but I don't know. We'll just see. But it's all fuckery. The Democrats been doing this shit. Trump said he gonna have this fully investigated. We gonna see whether or not he do that. He pretty much been a man of his word. He exposed a whole bunch of shit. whether or not he's able to do anything, that's not relevant. You should now fully see what the fuck is going on and handle your motherfucking business. Fuck what they doing, that ain't your fight. But that fight is letting you see what type of fuckery been going on. So what are you going to do as the true inheritors? What are you going to do as mama's children? It's your mama. This ain't their mama. I mean, it's simple. What you supposed to be doing. You supposed to be protecting mama. That corporation only exists on paper and in your mind. These are parasites feasting off of us and our mama and put you under a spell with paperwork and words to make you think that this is supposed to be an acceptable way of life on your shit. And you still voting for motherfuckers to tell you what to do on your shit while kicking your ass on your shit. And you ask for more. And more. And more. And more. Then you protest.
Yeah.
And ask for more. And more. Then you tear up your own shit. And ask for more. And more.
Yep.
Then you cry about it. You look at us like we crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But who voluntarily getting their ass kicked? Who voluntarily being a slave? But we crazy.
Right.
Family. Y'all crazy. You hear me? Because y'all ain't for the fuckery. So you crazy.
Yep.
I love y'all crazy asses. Keep being crazy. I digress.
Indeed. Indeed. I see you, 310. I'm going to go to the Trump card clip, and then I'm going to bring you on. So hold on, yeah. I got this new technology, so I move a little different now. Here we go.
Are you tired of the media?
Of course, it's a commercial.
False narratives?
Goddamn YouTube.
Over the last there's no precedent in American history for so small a number of corporations to control so large a sphere of human interaction, and that includes individual people controlling vast amounts of territory, and we can't allow that to happen, especially when they go about doing what they're doing, because they're doing things incorrectly. They have points of view, and if we go by that, it's actually amazing that there was a success in 2016, but we can't let this continue to happen. It's very, very unfair. And you look at the statistics and you look at what is going on, and I think everybody would very much agree with that. Including Democrats, by the way. I saw quite a few Democrats are saying this is about time something is done. So let's see if they keep that decision after they hear that we agree with them. The choices that Twitter makes when it chooses to suppress, edit, blacklist, shadow, ban, are editorial decisions, pure and simple. They're editorial decisions. In those moments, Twitter ceases to be a neutral public platform, and they become an editor with a viewpoint And I think we can say that about others also, whether you're looking at Google, whether you're looking at Facebook, and perhaps others. One egregious example is when they try to silence views that they disagree with by selectively applying a fact check, F-A-C-T, fact check. What they choose to fact check and what they choose to ignore or even promote is nothing more than a political activism group or political activism. And it's inappropriate. Look at what's happened. You look at where they're going, where they're coming from. I think you all see it yourselves. The censorship and bias is a threat to freedom itself. Imagine if your phone company silenced or edited your conversation. Social media companies have vastly more power and more reach than any phone company in the United States, more reach actually than your newspapers by far, more reach than a lot of your traditional forms of communication. Therefore, today I'm signing an executive order to protect and uphold the free speech and rights of the American people. Currently, social media giants like Twitter receive an unprecedented liability shield based on the theory that they're a neutral platform, which they are not an editor with a viewpoint. My executive order calls for new regulations under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act to make it that social media companies that engage in censoring or any political conduct will not be able to keep their liability shield. That's a big deal. They have a shield. They can do what they want. They have a shield. They're not going to have that shield. My executive order further instructs the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, to prohibit social media companies from engaging in any deceptive acts or practices affecting commerce. This authority resides in Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. I think you know it pretty well. Most of you know it. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, but we just had a big development in the unfolding.
Hold on a second, family.
It's just been revealed that the justice.
Very well. I think you know it quite well, right? Additionally, I'm directing the Attorney General to work cooperatively with the states. He's going to be working very much and very closely in cooperation with the states to enforce their own laws against such deceptive business practices. The states have broad and powerful authority to regulate in this arena, and they'll be doing it also, and we encourage them to do it if they see exactly as we've been seeing. It's what they're doing is tantamount to monopoly, you can say. It's tantamount to taking over the airwaves. Can't let it happen. Otherwise, we're not going to have a democracy. We're not going to have anything to do with a republic. Finally, I'm directing my administration to develop policies and procedures to ensure taxpayer dollars are not going in any social media company that repress free speech. The government spends billions of dollars on giving them money. They're rich enough, so we're going to be doing none of it or very little of it. As president, I'll not allow the American people to be bullied by these giant corporations. Many people have wanted this to be done by presidents for a long time. And now we're doing it, and I'm sure they'll be doing a lawsuit, and I'm also sure that we're going to be going for legislation in addition to this, and the legislation will start immediately. And I tell you, I've been called by Democrats that want to do this, and so I think you could possibly have a bipartisan situation. But we're fed up with it, and it's unfair, and it's been very unfair, and we'll see what happens. Any questions?
President, given your concern with Twitter, have you given any consideration to deleting your account, walking away from this platform you've been so critical of?
Well, you know, if you were fake, I would not even think about it. I would do that in a heartbeat. But
the shade of it all.
Look at what gets printed in newspapers. If only the public could understand where, you know, they're reading a story and they think it's real, and it's not real in so many cases. And I'm not saying in every case. You have some great journalists. You have some journalists that I have great respect for. But largely, I find, at least in a political sense, there's so much fake news, it's disgraceful. I would do that in a heartbeat if we had a fair press in this country, I would do that in a heartbeat. There's nothing I'd rather do than get rid of my whole Twitter account, but I'm able to get to, I guess, 186 million people when you add up all the different accounts and add Facebook and Instagram. It's a lot of people, and that's more than the media companies have, frankly, by a lot. And so if I get a story that's wrong, I can put a social media, I don't usually use the word Twitter, I say social media, but I put something out and the next day or the next hour or the next minute, everybody's reading about it. So I'm able to refute fake news, and that's very important. I'd like to ask the Attorney General, please, to say a couple of words. And
okay. I'm going to stop it now because I really don't care what he got to say.
We're going to be doing this. We're also going through Congress.
All right, family. So there you have it. That was Trump card. He just came out with that. I'm not sure of the exact time, but I saw where the news literally had just picked it up. So before I bring on 310, sis or Brother Sean, you have anything you want to put on it?
I don't. It wasn't too clear, but I heard a lot of it. But it was an echo. But no, I don't have anything to put on it.
Okay, let me bring on 310.
Peace and love, family. I just wanted to say I totally agree with Sister Sandra and Brother John because they said exactly what I would have said. So that's all I wanted to make a comment. They was right on, spot on.
Okay. Well, peace and love, sis 310.
Peace and love.
Okay,
Peace
thanks for calling in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, family. There you go. So if you couldn't hear it, you can go on YouTube and pick that back up. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we do know that the social media has gotten way out of control. Way. So this is going to be interesting.
You mean the censorship of it, right?
I say both.
Both?
Yeah, I say all around social media is out of control. But specifically, what he's speaking on is the censorship. Because Facebook had gotten so bad with their fact check, they were fact checking stuff that was coming from the mainstream media.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. And not to mention, you can still have pornographic material. I mean, really, really grotesque or gross stuff. They let that go through. But anything political, anything talking against the Rainbow Group, anything talking against the fake chosen one, they shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's why even last week, when I was reading that article, which we're going to finish up this week on Mandela, I hit the damn talking code. So yeah, it's totally way out of control.
And they the ones let the article be written. It's not like you making it up and saying it. It's shit they wrote.
Exactly.
And then they fact checkers, they getting to the point where they have fact checked you about some shit you said.
Right. Yeah, because I've had that happen before.
How the fuck you gonna tell me that I didn't say that? That what I'm saying is a lie. I said it, goddammit.
Right. I said what I said.
Right. And who are these people anyway?
Exactly.
But I mean, if I'm controlling the media, if it's my shit, and all my shit about to be exposed, it ain't gonna be on my shit. I'm gonna dispute every goddamn thing you say.
Absolutely.
And I ain't letting none of your shit get no airtime on my channels.
Yeah.
Unless I doctor the shit. I'm just gonna use snippets to make you look like an asshole. I'm never gonna put the full context out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell the people what I want them to hear. I'm gonna tell them what I want them to think.
Yep.
And they do. Because I hear people saying it all the time. Oh, he did this. He did that. Well, what'd he do? Well, for one, he ain't showed his taxes yet. He ain't been paying his taxes. Oh, the dumbass. How does that affect you? and what the fuck that got to do with this pandemic, people being killed, and all this other shit, and you worried about this, whether or not this man paid taxes? Who gives a fuck whether or not he paid taxes? Your ass probably ain't paid no taxes because you ain't been working. I mean, people concentrate on irrelevant shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically the only thing that they pull out. Oh, he a liar. Oh, he a pussy grabber. Okay, he grabbing the pussies of grown women. He ain't running around molesting babies and eating them and all that other shit. I mean, if you're going to pick some shit to hate somebody about, let it be some real shit.
Right.
He ain't been in office long enough to totally fuck you over. I mean, you sign on to his system, it's eventually going to happen.
Right.
Just not right now. He busy fighting. And y'all being emotional.
As usual.
You hate him, but you love these monsters. You claim to be conscious. You talk about the Constitution and this, that, or the other. But you don't see the Democrats violate the Constitution. You don't see where you live at in your Democratic district and all the crime.
Yep.
And how they tried to wipe out all your elders with this bacteria. Put sick people into nursing homes where the elderly who already have medical conditions
Right.
are at. And y'all just go along with it. You care nothing about your elders. But you got that stimulus check, though, didn't you? Shit gone, too, ain't it? What size big screen TV you get? I know, I'll be seeing them shits out in the garbage. I work at an apartment complex. I do maintenance. So I see what you niggas doing with them stimulus checks. Autos all out parking lot. Police coming all the time. Domestic violence. All type of stupid shit. Can't even watch that flat screen now. Ain't got no money for bail.
Right.
Sober as fuck right now. She ain't got no money. She spent hers with you.
Yep.
You tricked her out of her money, remember? So now she can't even get you out. I mean, niggas just be on some stupid shit.
Yep.
Everything is up for grabs right now. And y'all still on fuckboy shit. And I'm talking about the conscious community.
1000% agree.
The other people don't count. They do, but they don't.
Right.
Because the other people ain't here listening. I mean, y'all know I ain't talking about y'all family. Y'all here.
Right.
You know what the fuck going on. You ain't for this shit. And for real, all it takes is us to end this shit.
That is correct.
That's the mission. That's the purpose. If it wasn't your mission, if it wasn't your purpose, you wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
Plenty of other fuckery you could be off into. But I digress.
Indeed, Brother Sean. Thanks so much. Real quick, Brother Will Kapoor, shout out to him. He did a go live on Facebook or Fakebook today. And literally he went live because Negroes were in their feelings, because he made the statement, what difference does it make, and I'm paraphrasing here, between a white cop killing a melanated man and Pookie them in the neighborhood? Now, I had made a similar post, and I had 53 responses of pure fuckery. Never answering the question, diverting to they, all in their emotions, then attacking me, still never answering the question. And so Brother Will experienced the same thing. So I encourage you to go check out his go live from today on Facebook. He went in, and he went in at the spiritual level to put everyone on notice, specifically the conscious community.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I hear that echo too, sis.
Mm-hmm.
But what Brother Sean's saying is absolutely correct.
Can I?
Sure, go ahead, sis.
Now, they will sit there and emote about what they see on that TV, which is drama for them. They'll listen to the news media, which is drama for them. This Dr. Fauci gets up there and they says this malaria drug that Trump is taking has not been tested. The WHO says it as well. But I'm going to say, I'm looking at a drug book that I have from 1990. This drug that he's taking has been on the market. The doctor, scientist Judy Malkovich said about 40 years. And I'm looking at a 1990 book, drug book, and it's in my drug book from 1990. But yet they get on the media and say it's an untested, it's new, it's dangerous, it's going to kill him. You know why? Because they don't want you to take it and live. They've had this drug out there at least, I can go back to some more drug books I have, at least from 1990. What is that? At least
doesn't surprise
years?
me.
30 years? 30 years. That's 30 years. So, people
the military still take it.
Yeah. And they're
been doing it for over 40 years.
And they're telling you this stuff is not for this stuff. But you will believe them because they are out there in the news. Check it out for yourself. You can Google it. I'm looking in my drug book. It's right here on page 45. Hydroxychloroquine. I think that's how you pronounce it. Chloroquine. It's here. Sulfate. And they will tell you every day that Fauci is the expert. Fauci is lying.
Right.
Plain and simple. Ain't no other way to say it, but they tell you Trump is lying all the time. But he stand up there without a mask on his face, and everybody in America has to be wearing masks. For what?
Right.
They don't tell you that the blue mask only lasts about 30 minutes to an hour. They're no good after that. You have to have a specific level of protection in the mask that you have. And I go into stores. I don't even like to go grocery shopping because you can't go in without a mask. That is retarded. But Fauci and Brexit, whatever, they're the experts. They are paid by the system because to tell us these things. And we are so afraid of everything they tell us because they want that fear. What you say? They feed on that fear, right, Brother Sean?
Mm-hmm.
They feed on it. I told you I'm in the medical profession. I told you before that this stuff was crap. And it's in the book. They're just lying to you, people. Get a drug book and look it up.
Yeah, sis. Our millennial is on YouTube, and she said, "Wait a minute, I got a drug book from the 90s."
Yeah.
And she opened it up, and she said, "Turn right to the damn page." I opened it up, and it's on the freaking top.
Yeah. So who's telling you the truth? That's the bottom line. Who you going to trust? Your lying ears? Your lying eyes watching that TV? That CNN? They lying to you. Them people are killing you. They kidnapping you, eating your body. Your children. Come on now, get real.
But you know, sis, and I really encourage people to check out Brother Will's Facebook video because he went in specifically on the quote, quote, conscious community. And like he said, people don't want to research. They want to talk shit based on what XYZ, Elemental P and them told them, brother this, brother that. YouTube videos and only using one source instead of truly doing research for self. And then get a flat out attitude and want to cuss you plumb the fuck on out because you putting facts out and you have your receipts. And this behavior is unacceptable in this day and time among the quote, quote, conscious community. They turn around and criticize the regular folks, but yet they're no better. Because whenever a headline come out, they motherfucking asses are right on it, pushing the same narrative. So as the late, great Dr. Blair said, you're at a graduate and doctoral stage with spirituality. You're not a baby anymore. So either you're going to rise up and match the planet's vibration, or you're not. And as I said before, out of the 5%, so meaning the 5% represents the conscious community, it's only 1% that truly, truly, truly gets it. Now, in the meantime, with all of this fuckery going on, the planet is steady moving on. Literally, the jet stream is broken. Literally, I'm gonna fucking say that again. You know that jet stream that the weatherman show you that looks like a wave? That motherfucker is broke. So normally we get the weather from west to east. Now last night, I was looking at the news because who pointed that out about the jet stream being broke is Adapt 2030 YouTube channel. He closely follows for decades. He has the receipts on the cycles of the sun and how it was going to drastically change weather patterns as well as drastically change the food supply because the growing zones are changing. Hence, the reason why China is over in Africa. Because China is going under ice. So, with that said, I'm looking at the news, looking at the weather. And sure enough, the satellites show where the weather pattern no longer has that wave. And as a matter of fact, Brother Sean, all of the rain that we've been getting is coming from down south. So it's literally like we're getting the weather pattern from North Carolina. Golf course, rather. But the conscious community ain't fucking paying attention to that. Paying attention to the poles rapidly shifting. So again, family, for those of you that are listening to this, you are aware, you stay the course. Do what's best for you and yours and go within. We're literally at the final stretch. So it's even more important that you rely on your own inner intuition. So, all right, with that said, I'm sorry, sure, go ahead, Brother Shaw.
Now, Fauci, he got his wonder drug on the market, $1,000 a pill. I mean, you lightweight can't be mad at him for trying to block that cheap shit that actually work, and he trying to get 1,000 a pop and get you hooked. I mean, he got the background to really be the dope man. You feel me? I mean, he know the gig is up.
Right.
But in the meanwhile, he still got a bunch of dummies that want vaccines. Bunch of dummies that actually have the money that are going to buy those pills.
Mm-hmm.
You figure he can have him a party before it's all over. And what's strange is they can party to the bitter end because people are going to give up their energy and everything until these beasts are actually put to death.
Mm-hmm.
And they still gonna be sending them energy, crying and mourning over them. I mean, I'm talking about conscious people.
Right.
I mean, during all of this, ain't none of them gave up their Patreon or PayPal, got rid of none of that, or donated shit, or actually helped people who out here fucked up. They ain't helped a motherfucker.
Nope.
But they want your help.
Right.
I got to keep my channel going. You got a free channel, dude, with paid sponsors and shit like that. I mean,
which is hard to do, by the way.
Right. And on top of that, you pushing the corporate agenda. I mean, look at how many viewers that they have. And if you really master this or master that or this, that, or the other, why ain't shit been manifested?
Exactly.
With all them pupils, all the shit that you say that you done did, you've been here, you've been there, you've been on this realm, you've been on that realm, you talk to this being, you talk to that being, instead of the other, but you still asking people for shit.
Yep.
People that really ain't got it. People out here that's trying to find their way and so thirsty for somebody else to give it to them that they give up all their time, energy, and money just to get fucked. And at the end of this, don't even get to bust a good nut.
Right.
No pleasure. But I digress.
Indeed, indeed. Okay. We are going to get into tonight's topic. Before I do that, I'm going to try to test one thing and shut one of these mics down. So if you can't hear me, I'll open it back up because we're getting an echo for somewhere this week. You know, we didn't have a shit last week. Perfect example of what the hell we be talking about. Okay. Can y'all still hear me? Nope. Okay. I don't know where it's coming from. It is what it is. Okay, family. So last week, again, shout out to Sis Cheryl. She sent me this article by, what is dude's name again? Last name, Miles Mathis. So MILESMATHIS. Now he has many publications out there, but his powerful stuff that he hits hard on is his blog. And he goes in really, really deep. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with everything he puts out, but for the most part, his work is well vetted. So, Cicero sent me an article on Mandela. And last week, we pretty much got through more than half of it. And for those of you that were not able to join us last week, this particular article shows how the system of apartheid was set up and how Nelson Mandela participated in it. All right, so the author went through all of the theories, meaning that the original Mandela that went to jail really transitioned on. They put a clone in his place, yada, yada, yada. So he feels that that wasn't necessarily the case, that Mandela was always a plant because he ties back to those Black nobility families. All right. So the other thing that was really great about this article, the way they set up apartheid in South Africa. And apartheid, by the way, is just another name change of colonization. But the way they set it up in South Africa was the exact same way that colonization happened in the Americas. And so the story of Mandela equates to the story of Press O. So meaning when it was time to transfer, quote, quote, power back to the South African, they had to put a melanated face on it. So hence comes Mandela. And Mandela's background is strikingly familiar with Press O's. So meaning he flunked out of law school, but somehow became a lawyer. Questionable of his sexuality. And then his ties back to those Black nobility families. All right, so we are going to continue this or finish it up. We literally only have a page probably a half a page. All right. So, in support of that, let me back up a little bit, go a paragraph up. All right. All right. So he's going back, tying Mandela to a gentleman named Clerk. Oh, and the other thing about this article, just to recap, I'm telling you, it follows the same script of colonization in Americas, because the Dutch had control of South Africa first. And then England came in and took control. So it's really the Dutch and English, or Britain or British, fighting over the resources and control of South Africa. Because like we keep telling you all, and I know you all already know this, at the end of the day, all of this is about commerce. It's not about color. It is about commerce. It is about controlling the land, controlling the resources on behalf of the corporation that is set up for the benefit of the beneficiaries of the Black nobility family. All right. Okay. So, and in case, I know I'm going to have to talk in code again. When you hear me say the fake chosen ones, I am referring to the people that identify themselves as first letter J, last letter W. Okay. So this goes right into what the fuck Trump card was talking about, what YouTubers have to do now in order not to get your shit interfered with. All right. So I'm going to back up a paragraph so y'all know what the other stuff meant. A couple paragraphs, rather. Okay. If I am right, then de Klerk, despite appearing to be a Dutch, must have been a British asset. You will say his family had been running South Africa for years, but these things happen. So we look first to his mother, where we find, my guest confirmed, she was a Kozer. Oh, sorry, YouTube. Let me share my screen. My bad. I forgot I get this little technology, y'all. You can't tell me nothing. Mm-hmm. Although I have to remember to use it. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
No, I say I ain't mad at you. Use it.
All right. So, if I am right, then de Klerk, despite appearing to be Dutch, must have been a British asset. You will say his family had been running South Africa for years, but these things happen. So we look first to his mother, where we find, my guest confirmed, she was a Kozer. So it is possible the de Klerk lines were attacked through her. Kozer is a more obvious, the fake chosen one name, than de Klerk, and comes from a different line than the de Klerks were used to. Kozer comes from Germany and Austria. Always follow the ladies, as I told you before. My guess is confirmed by the amount of misdirection around this question. At Wiki, de Klerk is sold as mainly French Huguenot, though he notes he is also of Dutch descent. Absurd, as usual, since he is the fake chosen one on both sides. The only question being, what lines? He wouldn't be running a country if he weren't mainly the fake chosen one. Although the de Klerks had previously been of mainly Dutch lines, Coetzer introduced a different line. I would assume his wife, Marieke, was involved in the switch as well. And that too is confirmed by the major misdirection on his wiki page, where she is neither listed in the sidebar nor given a last name in the text. Very strange. A search on her takes us to more mystery, since she was supposedly murdered in 2001. See this report from The Guardian, which again conspicuously fails to tell her birth name. Strange, since she was long divorced and was therefore no longer Mrs. de Klerk. The article is obvious agitprop in many ways as well, since instead of reporting the facts as a newspaper should, it is crammed with emotionalism and spin. So I find that last little sentence very interesting in the face of what Trump card just talked about today. All right. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but there are laws on the book saying that it is okay for the media to put out propaganda as news. So
Obama renewed it.
Oh, Prince, renewed it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Because that was in the 60s. Was it the 60s or the 50s? Do you remember that they put that law on the books?
I think that was in the 60s when they done it.
Okay, in the 60s. So,
Yeah, but he renewed it.
And hence is why we say, do your research with more than just one source. You have to use it all. You have to use their stuff, the quote, quote, alternative media stuff, and you have to do some back up in the day research, pulling books and shit, plus Google and all of that. And you cross-reference that shit, and I guarantee you'll come up with the truth. So even in this quote, quote, conscious community, or the 5% people, the fucking 4% people, you're not supposed to be just relying on YouTube videos and what brother so and such so said. You're supposed to be doing that type of research yourself. And furthermore, like I have been saying over the last month, you're supposed to be at the point of being able to have sharp discernment and bringing in information yourself from self. All right, so here we go. Unspinning it leads me to the belief her death was faked for some good reason. And given what I am showing you, we should assume it was fake to get her off the page. They didn't want you asking the questions I am asking, which makes me ask them even louder. What was her maiden name? Jeannie tell us it was Wilhelmese. And if we continue back, we find Haynes, Eckstein, Small, Human, Rademacher, Mueller, Adams. We talked about this last week, Adams. Tied back to the founding father, Adams. And you can look at the promos on YouTube, thanks to Sis Cheryl. She pulled out a publication of the founding fathers from back up in the day. And Adams looked melanated to me. And hell, George Washington is questionable too. He could have been mulatto, but anyway. Adams and Kemp. This last confirms my guess, since the Kemps were from Suffolk. This probably links us to the Kemps of the peerage, who were the baronets to the Bacon baronets, and through them to the Berkeleys, Waterhouses or Woldhouses, Hamiltons, Egertons, and Phipps. Now, interesting family, as I'm reading these names, that Berkeley, Phipps, a lot of stuff have been named after these people in the Americas. But anyhow, we saw the Berkeleys and Hamiltons above, didn't we? The Kemps were barons, Rochdale in the 20th century, and they were directors of Barclays Bank. The first Viscount Kemp was governor of the BBC in the 1950s. Marquis was also descendant from a John Adams, which may link us to President Adams. The names Rademacher and Mueller are German. On the paternal side, Marquis' grandmother is given as a Weyers, but my guess is that is a fudge of Myers. So in other words, they flipped the W and from the M. She is immediately scrubbed, giving more weight to that guess. Her great-grandmother is also scrubbed. The paternal lines are almost empty. So best guess is the de Klerks were infiltrated through F.W. de Klerk's mother and wife, explaining why he is the one that released Mandela from jail, i.e., brought him back from England. In support of that, we can check Marquis' father, W.A. Wilhelmese, who has on his own wiki page, though it is in Afrikaans, he was from the family of bankers and worked in a bank for a while. After obtaining an MA in psychology from the University of Pretoria, he continued his studies in Leipzig, Bonn, and Berlin. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And came home with 2 doctorates. He specialized in criminology and prisons. That is enough red flags already, but we'll find more. His second wife, after Haynes, was Flora Strachan, who was close friends with the famous poet Elizabeth Ebers. Her mother was English, being a Laroque. They also are related to the Nugent Barons and the Bailey Barons, who link us to the Russells and Lathams. We saw the Lathams above. Wilhelmese was allegedly killed in a freak car accident at age 40, run over by one of his students. But I would assume his death was fake and he went deeper into intel. He looks like a spook from the first word. Marique's brothers are also scrubbed, so they may have also been in British intelligence. That would explain many things, including the bad script of her death, which reads like it's right out of the MI6. Remember, she was allegedly choked to death on her knees, but also had a knife sticking out of her back. The only thing they forgot was the cobra chewing on her ankle. On the way out, let's take a quick look at Winnie Mandela. All right, y'all, let me take a swig of water. Her parents...
Hey, you know what?
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know Berkeley up here in California?
Uh-huh.
UC Berkeley? They have a lot of stuff going on in Berkeley with histories of the people from here and who came over from Europe and Spain and all that kind of stuff.
Because it says, sis, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Berkeley may be one of the, they're named after one of those people you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it said that Berkeley had a lot of covert operations ran by the CIA boys. Damn, I said their name. Back in the 60s.
Stuff they used to have up there?
Yes. Yes.
A lot of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they ran a lot of COINTELPRO. And if I'm not mistaken, they were saying that some of the hippie movements, I know it started in San Fran, but some of those programs were ran out of Berkeley as well.
Berkeley had a big reputation when I was coming up of being a school of political unrest.
That makes sense. Because isn't it still thought to be highly liberal?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they've changed it. That's why California is a Democratic state, because they are too liberal.
And California has turned into a shithole.
Yeah, it has. Because they don't know the front foot from the back foot. That butt.
Right.
So, they just follow with communism and fascism and all that kind of stuff. I mean, liberal to the point of stupid.
Right. But sis.
And they're trying to pass that income thing. Every family get about $2,000 a month.
The universal income.
Keep you at home and under control. That's what they're talking about now over here in this part of the world with these liberals.
And I don't know how the hell California can afford it. They've been bankrupt.
Well, they had a surplus about 60 or 90 billion dollars, whatever. That's what,
which is nothing.
Which Newsom was saying. Now they're in $54 million deficit or something.
Wow. So,
stayed at home.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Can you refuse to leave them at home. So you have to understand there's something nefarious going on with these people when they're raking up a deficit, and yet they won't let the people go to work.
And what does that say about Cali? I mean, let's talk about it, because a lot of people that's hit with not being able to go to work had service jobs. So they were barely making it anyway. Exactly. And then I saw where Facebook had the audacity, y'all, to say they about to cut their people's salary since they working from home now.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Oh, we got tracers too. They're trying to launch that tracing stuff here in California for that COVID crap. So they're hiring, I think, 1,000 people or something to go and trace the origins of the inception of who you were in contact with. And they have a right to come to your home, and they have a right to come in your house. All that kind of stuff they're going down.
Well, I'm going to say this about Cali. I feel it's a bigger plan.
Yeah.
They are trying to run people out of California.
Doing a good job.
Because they want to use a lot of it for agricultural. And you're right. They're doing a hell of a job, because I'm going to be real honest. I don't know how the hell y'all make it in California. I don't know how you live there.
It's difficult.
Just like New York.
New York.
I don't get it.
Same. Oh, and Como in New York, I saw a video about a nurse talking about the killing the people, and Como says I saw it on AT&T ticker. He says nobody should be convicted for killing anybody, or prosecuted, or whatever word you use, for killing people. I said, so they're doing it, huh?
Child.
And his brother
is
that CNN guy, I think it is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they look just alike.
I didn't pay no attention. I just look at what they doing. I don't look at them.
Yeah, he got immunity.
Yeah.
He got immunity for all the nursing home directors.
For killing the folks.
Yep.
It's war.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what people
don't understand. Exactly.
You keep trusting these people.
Yep.
And instead of taking care of yourself, getting back with mama.
Yep.
Who has always taken damn good care of us. Gave us everything we could ever need, want, dream of, desire. Gave us all the ingredients to make whatever we wanted.
Yep.
And we choose to want less now.
Because
for whatever reason.
I think, Brother Sean, now this is just, my humble opinion. I think it's laziness. I think it's laziness and fear. They gotta have that safety net. When these folks continually show you're not their priority. You depend on them to educate your child. You depend on them to eat. It's just ridiculous. And during the Rona shutdown, like I said, I find it very interesting that a bunch of people with children are whining. Oh, these schools need to open back up, blah, 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 blah. Well, goddamn it, if you don't want to be bothered with your babies, why the hell would you think an institution would treat them any better? You would think that folk would take this quote, quote, shutdown as an opportunity to get your shit in order. To take that bonding time with your children. To take that time to see what are they really teaching your children. And you take that time to start incorporating curriculum that you want. Take the time to get back into nature, etc. But no, folks was more concerned about that motherfucking funk ass $1,200 than any of the above. Because folks do not want to stand on their own. They gotta swing off of the bull's tit instead of being accountable for self and being one with mama. So me personally, I don't get my drugs in a bunch when the corporation come out with some fuckery. I know it is what it is. I move accordingly and do what's best for me. And as long as folks keep swinging off the government's tit, you're going to get what you get. You deserve to get what you get. They're going to keep treating you like children and treating you like shit. So what the fuck are you complaining for? Literally, Biden came out and said, went on a popular melanated radio show and said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. And folks let that shit pass. And when folks pointed it out to the people that's, oh, we need to vote, they had justification and all other types of motherfucking excuses. So again, and this not only goes to the 90%, the 95%, it goes to the 4% as well. As long as you depend on a system, a sky daddy, or anything outside of self, you get exactly what the fuck you deserve. All right. Sorry, y'all. Okay. On the way out, let's take a quick look at Winnie Mandela. Her parents were named Columbus and Gertrude, not African names, obviously. It is admitted she is at least 1/4 white, and we may assume the white is mostly the fake chosen one. She graduated from Hofmeyr School, and Hofmeyr is, of course, the fake chosen one. I assume Winnie was chosen as a new beard for Mandela, since by 1958, Evelyn was sick of that job. Okay, so in case you weren't with us last week, Evelyn was Mandela's first wife. The job was easier for Winnie since after 1962, Mandela was always in jail, meaning he was always in England. Okay, so in case you weren't with us last week, what the author is alluding to, that Mandela never really did go to jail. He was really over in Europe, posed up with the nobility's boys now, being groomed and prepped to take his role as president of South Africa eventually. But of course, Winnie didn't have to go with him. She was free to run her own projects. It looks to me like she became an agent of the Dutch rather than the British. And that is understandable given that her position in South Africa during the 70s and 80s would have become untenable. But picking that side cost her dearly after 1990 when the rulers flipped. The Brits, of course, had no use for her, so she was dumped as the wife/beard. And no longer having the protection of the government, she was open for a series of never-ending attacks in court and everywhere else. She may have been a nasty character, as an agent no doubt she was. But to me, the various events look manufactured, including all the murders by her bodyguards. As the country began to transition from Dutch to English rule. Okay, so remember, this is the exact same script that was followed in the Americas because the Dutch were here first. All right. New York was first called New Amsterdam. All right. No doubt she needed bodyguards. But for the rest of it, it looks like the usual blackwashing. That is, confirmed by the court proceedings where she was actually tried for the Saipai case in 1991 and ended up with only a fine. If she had actually done any of these things she was accused of, the new government would have crucified her. As it is, all they had were stories. Even as late as 2003, the new government had the chance to throw the book at her on the charges of theft. But once again, all of her convictions were overturned or suspended. You will say it is because she had powerful friends. But if she had powerful friends in government, they would have buried the claims to start with. They would have never made it to the papers or to the courts. This indicates the government only wanted to ruin her reputation. They had no desire to actually send her to jail, since that would have been to create a martyr. As just one example of these stories, we are told this. During the 1990s, she associated herself with Israeli organized crime figures operating in South Africa, who were involved in extorting the fake chosen one community and other criminal activities. That's completely upside down to all sense as usual. As an agent, Winnie would have been involved in a lot of covert projects over the decades, but not in an Israeli extortion from the fake chosen one community. Maybe in extorting from everyone else to benefit the fake chosen one community, but not otherwise. I suspect this semi-retaliation of Winnie will piss off more people even than my outing of Mandela as an agent. But I tell it like I see it. I'm not here to pick sides. I am here to flip all the lies over, no matter what they may be. Oh, let me get to the little footnotes, y'all. Because he mentioned Farrakhan up in here. So these are his footnotes in the article. Farrakhan admitted his father was the fake chosen one on finding your roots. So I don't know. Is that Gates show, y'all? I don't know. All right, another footnote. Curiously, Marique's son, Willem, had a famous relationship with a half-Black woman named Erica Adams. So she was probably a cousin. So thanks to Sis Cheryl for this article. And once again, they cross-reference Adams in here, which is more than likely tied to John Adams. And based on a publication that Sis Cheryl found, we saw a picture of John Adams. He looks melanated in that picture. So I find it real interesting. He's saying that this particular connection, who was tied to Mandela, had a relationship with a half-Black woman named Erica Adams. Okay, so just in case you want to read this article for yourself, you want to search on it, a very good work. This is Miles Mathis. Miles Mathis. And if you're on YouTube, you can see the exact link where to go. And the title of the article is Nelson Mandela. And the specific PDF is under Mandela4.pdf. All right. So, Sister, Brother Sean, you all have anything you want to put on it?
I'm not surprised, though, because the CIA, they run Hollywood.
Yep.
They give out majority of the scripts. They tell these TV shows what to put on, everything. They control every aspect of your thoughts, if you let them. They have to give you the truth. They don't have to give you all of it, but they have to give you some of it.
Indeed.
And they have to tell you what they're going to do. As part of their contract. They got more at stake than what you think they have at stake. Not just the fake game. Because the fake game ain't what they want for real. That's just a way to keep you stuck so they can feed off of you.
Yep.
They want to keep you in this system. After this cycle of suppression, being in the era of knowing, we'll give the government back to you. We'll give the corporation back to you. we'll reinstate the original Constitution, and we'll let the game be run by the people.
Yep.
And we know that it will only be 1,000 years of peace because there'll still be people here who had it good before the board got reset.
Right.
And now they got to start all over again because your funky ass wanted to be equal. Now,
right.
You didn't want to be a god and just leave the game. You just want to stay here and just fuck up shit for the lower frequency beings that have no place else to go.
Exactly.
This frequency ain't going to be destroyed. So don't think because you read a book or two or you astro travel a time or two that you out this shit.
Yep.
Especially if you don't have any self-accountability.
That is right.
I know there's plenty of people that think that I'm giving them a pass, that I'm so hard on quote-unquote black people. As far as for the quote-unquote black people that's supposed to be here, why am I hard on you? This shit wouldn't keep going on if you just stop.
Exactly.
Y'all making this shit hard for everybody else. For a minute, though. Just
yep.
For a minute. Because some of us the fuck up out of here.
Yep.
But you can keep playing this game. You can stay here. You can sign on to the new deal. This, that, or the other. But why keep trying to pull everybody else down with you?
Right.
Why don't you just go be a happy-ass slave, sign your new deal, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up?
Exactly.
But I guess that would be too much like right, sis.
Yeah, it's too much like right.
Going.
It's too much like right.
Going.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember they sold anyway. That's what the whole thing with California is. You have so many soulless beings there, so many entities that were willing to do anything to try and get in the inner circle.
Right. Los Angeles, Los Angels, Los Angles of Light. Yep.
All to pursue an illusion. You go in there to pretend to be something you're not.
Yep.
And the biggest celebrities actually are the politicians because they get to get on TV every day and pretend to care about motherfuckers. No, and they don't. They don't give a flying fuck about none of y'all.
Yep.
All they care about is your energy. You're being obedient. You're being disobedient on cue. Everything you do is controlled by them. They tell you when you can feel good, when you should feel bad. They tell you everything, and you can't seem to function without it. And wonder, how come we're in the predicament we're in?
Yeah.
You wonder how come mama is going through what she's going through. You wonder how come mama is pissed and ain't sparing no goddamn body without enough common sense to come on home to mama.
Right.
And duck. Because when mama swing, whoever get hit, that's tough.
Yep.
You shouldn't have gotten my way.
Exactly.
You got in the way, goddammit. What you trying to do, help a motherfucker? You trying to jump your mama? Whack,
right. Because I told you to have your ass on that porch.
Right. But they don't get it yet, though, sis. They getting it, but they don't get it.
Absolutely.
And when they get it, it's going to be too late to say, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they got it, but didn't get it. But I digress.
Indeed. Indeed. Real quick before we, I have something for you, Brother 832, and then we're going to get back with Nancy Eisenberg, White Trash, the 400-year untold history of class in America. But Sis Cheryl had sent me a message telling me to check out, and Brother Sean, you sent me a message to also. So we want to talk about your flick, and right after I talk about Sis Cheryl's flick. So she said on Netflix, look at this movie called The Core, C-O-R-E. So I pulls it up. I don't know when. It looks like it was made in the 90s. Mouth dropped open. Because basically the movie is talking about this natural disaster that is happening on the planet. And the plasma is literally tearing shit up. Tasing people in the ass. Like I said, it will. So, in order for them to stop all of these natural disasters, they had to go to the core of Earth. And the disk, which represents that core, they had to have it spin in the right direction. So they, of course, sends this team to do it, but the scientists who had to build the machine to get to the core was a melanated man. I just cracked up because the technology that he had already built, he just needed some more fiat to finish it, was, of course, way beyond its time. And so they used this little equipment, this, that, and the third, put a team together, went to the core. So they had to drill through the core, and they didn't use a drill. He used laser frequencies to get to the core. So meaning they had to go through the ocean and go down further layers. Then they get to a layer. Guess what layer they hit? Crystals. I just sat there with my mouth dropped. I'm like, this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said. And the crystal layer was amethyst. And anybody that knows what that amethyst, which is a purple crystal, is very, very beautiful. It represents health and healing, but purple we know as the vibratory chakra of your crown, so highest level. So they even had to drill through the crystals, to make it to this core, and use a frequency, bounce this frequency laser to start back up this disc rotation. So I highly recommend exactly Deep H2O. We know the science behind it. So Deep H2O says water is the conductor for frequency electricity. And then Rhonda, it's me, said, this is the second time I've heard about this movie today, confirmation. Yes, check it out. The movie is called The Core. And everything we've been discussing for 2 years regarding that plasma in the sky being connected to the ley lines, which are connected to the crystals, which are conductors of energy. They have it in this movie. Now, I ain't seen this motherfucking movie. I got that shit from intuition or the spiritual realm. So my mouth literally fucking dropped when I saw that. So yeah, the movie is on Netflix. It's called The Core. So I see you, brother 832. I'm going to bring you on. But before I do that, brother Sean, can you give the family the series that you sent me to watch?
Art Dog Chronicles. The original people are the blue bloods, and they're much more powerful than other people, the regulars, so to speak. And you know what the regular people do. They double cross them in an attempt to wipe the original people out and take their land.
Yep.
But of course, there's also mixing of the seed.
Yep.
And the biracial child of a blue blood and a regular is a purple blood. They call it an Ingutu. I mean, they get off into everything. They're matriarchal people.
Okay, brother Sean, they want you to speak up. They said they can't hear you.
Oh, okay. No problem. They are matriarchal people. They get taken over by a patriarchal people. They're forced to learn the new way. At first, they had tribal alliances. They consulted the Great Mother, who communed with the spirit realm. All authority and power went through her till she was overthrown.
Yep.
They show how the tribes turned on one another.
And
incidentally, slavery was legal. Every last tribe participated in slavery. They sold their own people, as well as tribes that they conquered. They showed no mercy. Women, children, nothing mattered. And these are the quote unquote Asian people.
Yep.
Who are showing that they know full well who we are, what type of societies we had, the fuckery that we did to each other. That's just a brief synopsis of it.
Yeah,
There's
can
so
you
much
give the
more
name
to it.
of it again and where they can find it?
It's on Netflix, Earth Dog Chronicles. I put it up earlier in the chat.
Okay, so those of you on YouTube, you can, early in the beginning of the program, you can get the exact spelling and name. But I'm just a half a episode in because the first 15 minutes, my mouth dropped.
They kill you. Right.
I'm like, wait, huh? They just put this shit in plain sight? Huh? Yeah.
And did you see the abilities the Blue Bloods had?
I haven't even got that far. So I got to do some more watching this weekend. I was in the yard all weekend, y'all. Planted a tree. I got a bunch of rays and UV radiation. So y'all know how that is. When you in that yard, you working hard, you get in, take your little shower, you sit in front of the TV and nod out, and that's a wrap. So I got to pick it back up this weekend.
Yeah, but in that first, 15 minutes when all them soldiers are being killed, that's just one.
Yes, I did see that. Yes.
That's just one of the Blue Bloods that they going up against. Just doing all that damage. Just one. Yeah, T. Christopher, Earth Dog Chronicles.
Yes. Arthal, ARTHDAL Chronicles.
And you have to pay attention to the names that they give their deities and everything. I mean, the play on words is going to trip you out.
Yep.
They ain't playing. They ain't holding nothing back. If you like to research words and find out what they mean, they're about to send you down a whole other path to research, looking up some of these names.
So, Brother Sean, just real quick, I just want to make sure that in the first little 15 minutes, were they talking about that Asian and Moorish empire linking up?
Yeah, because you see the Blue Bloods were darker.
Yep. I'm telling you, y'all, my mouth about dropped. So, yeah, check that out. And I'm going to get back into it this weekend. But like I said, that first 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, man, yeah, this is about to be off the hook.
You could tell who's supposed to be melanated because they got them painted different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the women in the temple, they got them painted red. So,
yeah,
the obvious quote unquote mongrels.
Yep.
You know exactly who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, they couldn't dream. They couldn't dream. They thought it was crazy that somebody could dream.
So that means no access to spiritual realms. Am I right?
Right. That's why they depended on the...
Uh-oh. You going out.
Or intermediary. Right.
Mm.
She took care of everybody. She let everybody know what was going on and what to do.
Mm. You must be hurting some feelings because they breaking up your phone. Okay.
Well, I mean, they already know what mama can do. And what she going? Mama already taking care of business.
She really is.
If we didn't say nothing, Mama still taking care of
yeah.
business. People just wouldn't understand what the fuck was happening.
What was happening? Because I didn't took and told y'all. You can stand out there and tell that plasma all that fuckery.
They can tell it to the corporation because that's who they seem to respect.
True.
And they see what the corporation care about them. They didn't shut everything down. They want you to just sit at home. They want you to get sick.
Yep.
They actually want more people to die.
Yep. Oh, wait a minute. I'm coming to you, A32, I promise. My sister and I, she know who she is. We were talking yesterday. So we were talking about our ancestors and the different personalities. And she's done her genealogy. I've done mine. And I told you part of my ties back to Ireland. So I was matching up the different personalities, and it started to make sense to me why my ancestors acted the way they act. And I was telling my sis that on the Irish side, they always looked at me, the older elders. They looked through me. It was something about me that they weren't feeling, if that makes sense. So I was sharing with my sis. I said, you know what? They saw the indigenous part of me. And that's why they always looked at me with the side eye. I mean, as a little girl, they always looked at me with the side eye. I'm talking about the elders, who we're talking had 50, 60 years on me, and my great-grandmother on that side would do the same. They never treated me bad, but my spirit saw their spirit. I saw their vibration. So I already knew what the game was as a little girl. But now, I'm sure I knew then, but as you become conditioning program, la, 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 la. But now that I'm at the point that I'm at now, I understand why they were looking at me like that. Like, you're not really one of us. So, but anyway, so my sister and I were talking, and so she was sharing with me some of her lineage, and she said, which messed me all the way up, y'all. She said, you know, a lot of my ancestors had the middle name of Lee, L-E-E, women and men. And she said, you know, the Asians took that L-E-E as their surname. They took it from us. And I said straight up, I said, I'll be goddamn. Because if you're from the South and your older ancestors, so millennials, you may not know this because by the time you all were being born, coming into the realm, a lot of these ancestors had transitioned. So unless your parents talked about them, you wouldn't know the pattern of these names. And literally, if you're from the South of a certain age, you know that all of your relatives, whether they were a girl or a boy, had that motherfucking Lee as a middle name. So it just hit me like, pow. So either that Lee name came from the melanated European side as they were marrying into the melanated indigenous side, or it came from the indigenous melanated side. But either way, what she said struck me. That Lee, the Chinese or the Asians hijacked that shit. Yeah. My millennial says, my great-grandmother, Effet Lee Russell. Let me tell you something. I can go through a list. Johnny May Lee, because you got to throw that motherfucking May in there too. That was my auntie, y'all. Sammy Lee, Percy Lee, Rosie Lee. God damn it, I can name them. Oh. So yeah, that tripped me out. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me go to 832. 832. Peace and love, brother. Oh, wow. You sound horrible.
My sisters from other misters. Feathers up.
Feathers up.
Feathers up, brother.
United Snakes of America down. Sean, my brother from another mother, sitting on Mount Olympus, throwing them black lightning bolts down tonight. I'm gonna jump on that
power, bro.
Man. Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that Chronicles, but it sounds like Altered Carbon in a flashback. Back to the Future. I got a lot on my mind because I tried to get through you. That's what you was doing with apartheid. Now, I know people say apartheid, but it supposedly is actual pronouncement. Literally is apartheid. But I wanted to ask you, in segueing from what you just got to say, I was trying to explain something to a friend because she was confused by your statement about ascension or the rising of the frequency, or if you're out of tune with Mother Earth. And I was trying to do a simple analogy here. It's talking about the four seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, or then comparison to the life cycle of us individually: birth, life, old age, death. Okay? Now, we say that those four seasons, we call them cycles, or we use the word year, right? And every cycle around year after year after year. We use that as a comparison, a measurement of a so-called time continuum in our individual existence on this planet, right? However, in the calendar, we supposedly are the Gregorian, the Julian, or whatever the white construct from the Holy Roman Empire. We start in the middle of death. Did we move the calendar from March or April to December, January?
Yes.
How is starting the year in the middle of the death cycle of winter? And then spring is seen as 3 months later.
Right.
You see? And then the summertime, and then the fall, and then the cycle back to the winter. So what I was trying to explain to her is what your statement was stating in the context of the Earth continuum. We're talking somewhere in the vicinity of 25,000, 26,000 years, right?
Yep.
Thereabouts. Okay, if you use that analogy I just said about spring, summer, fall, winter, birth, life, old age, death. We just came out of the age of Pisces, right?
Yes.
We are in the age of Aquarius.
Yes.
In the age of Pisces, that was the consciousness level of belief And we're supposed to transition into the consciousness level of knowledge, right?
Yes.
To believe is, in a sense, to be dreaming. Yeah? And a dream state is a death-like consciousness, right?
Yes.
So we've gone out of a winter state of existence, if you will. I'm using this to explain consciousness.
Very good analogy.
To a spring-like consciousness of birth, rebirth, however you want to see it, and life. Now, when you're in a death state, that is almost a dichotomy to being in a life state, right?
Yes.
The earth is transitioning out of its winter death cycle into its birth rebirth cycle with this time continuum we're talking about of 25 to 60, 26,000 years or thereabouts.
Yes.
But we're in the midst of the transition from one state to another, right?
Yes.
I'm using this to explain to her, not to say that she does, not to see the simpleton or can't conceive. I'm saying the problem we have is the way our thinking has been codified. Okay? So we don't draw a connection one to the other. And there's a point of why I'm pointing this out, because again, the same way that you just talked about in that little brief story you shared about a middle name, or naming conventions at all, or the manner in which we refer to ourselves in antiquity as opposed to contemporary time. I used to make this joke all the time. You hear about that story? I didn't know the name of the person. It doesn't really matter. But this is a melanated woman in contemporary time, and named her children Orangelo and Lamangelo.
No.
You know what that was?
Mm-mm.
Orange jello and lemon jello.
Wow.
No, farther than that, than Porsche, Mercedes, or Alizé. Okay? So when you are connecting yourself to the materialism of actual American capitalism,
yes,
and you have very distorted consciousness and a very limited psychological makeup, you do not even know, nor do we understand, that all of American capitalism was tied to turning our melanated ancestors, the autochthonous aboriginal inhabitants of North America or Turtle Island, into commodity, product, property. All American capitalism is based on that. And so people are in massive denial when they are saying it's all about the money, or it's about the paper chasing, or it's about whatever you define as a really materialistic concept is superficial.
Yeah.
It is barely above the state of death and a dead consciousness. I know you know what I'm saying. I'm rambling a little bit here, but I'm saying about this whole manner of existence that we have based on commerce, as you love to say in your past.
Yeah.
Based on commerce is only about what is of the tangible, material, supposed five senses: seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and that realm. You don't go outside of that construct, which is the example of the Matrix as a film, as a filmic narrative. So when you're talking about everything, your conversation is within that box, that confine, you can't conceive outside of the box. And that's what you mean when you say tell it to the plasma.
Yeah.
That will destroy all of the content inside the material realm of the box. Okay, now I've rambled enough on that. I just wanted to say that for her if she's still listening.
Great breakdown, brother.
And understand. Now, on apartheid and comparing Nelson Mandela, I forgot what his middle name was, Mandela. What was he, a Xhosa? You say that clicking sounds that they have in the Xhosa language? Isn't that what this people are supposed to be? And Barack Hussein Obama, who they continue to allege was born in Kenya.
Right.
All right. What I'm trying to understand and coordinating some of what Sean just said about the storyline, I can't wait to go and check those chronicles out, about the blue blood and the purple blood. Could you correct me, brother? Were you talking about someone like Meghan Markle? Because I wanted to be clear. I know you were referring to the storyline of the Chronicles thing, but you said the blue blood mixed with a so-called average person or a mutt if you will, because that is what they refer to Meghan Markle as the product of a mutt lineage of, what was it, Chandra? The Plantagenets and the Huguenots, or which ones is it from? Because the Huguenots, if I'm not mistaken, did they come up? Go ahead.
She would be an Anglo too.
Okay. But I think they were perpetuating whatever mythology they're saying is the Plantagenet line, I believe, of so-called nobility. Through the white father, by the way, not the mother. But they, of course, they want to extend authority to the so-called pale-skinned people that have been erected and constructed as Caucasoid representation of black nobility. I mean, please correct me at any time, Rhonda, if I'm, misstating what this narrative is. Okay, so you have the black nobility or monarchy / bloodline that originated from where? When we keep talking about these stories, when we're saying the Moors or King James and the other black nobles of Europe, or the ancient antiquity that some want to believe is the 5,000-year narrative of ancient Manchuria, because China is not the name of that land. It is the name that's put on them by British colonial rule. It's always interesting to me that Chinese people don't call themselves Manchurians. And if you point it out to them, those knowledgeable, they know that Manchuria is their supposed original. I'm not even going to say it's indigenous. It'll be original names, they claim. Just as India did not exist, what we call India today was not until 1950 under British colonial rule. I know you're aware of that as well. So who the hell were the Indians that Cristobal Colon or Christopher Columbus was looking for in 1492? It wasn't in what we call India today, which was referred to as Hindustan.
Right.
Just like it wasn't in China, it was referred to as Manchuria. So who are the Indians that these so-called marauding, exploring, invading, allegedly Caucasoid European immigrants? Who were the Indians he was looking for?
Yes.
The Aztecs, Mayans.
Well, yeah, Mayans, Incas. But you're talking now with you're talking cultural and civilization designations, if you will. I'll use that designation. But when we are told Indian, here's the way I look at it. Indian is more reference to indigo, as in ink, as in blue blood, almost black, purple type ink, right? Because, every time you see indigo or ink, that is the first thought that comes to your mind. Is it not some level of so-called darkness, melanation, or the most extreme concentration of blackness? Okay? They looked and searched for that in what they refer to as the East and West Indies, which is what we call today North America, the Caribbean islands, Central and South America. Now, as Dane Calloway has pointed out already, for those who have yet to do the type of research that they should be doing, and we need to encourage it to be done for each and every individual American Indian family, not Balalian, Negro-colored, mulatto, octoroon, quadroon, black, so-called African American. The American Indian family who was invaded on what is in the not the congressional, the colonial War Department record is where Dane Calloway researched the indigenous Niiji, Niiji, on Turtle Island, because that's what the place was referred to when colonists invaded our homeland. See, our problem continues to be we have first a false dichotomy. And for those who don't understand what this dichotomy means, you are talking in a foreign language. We are expressing even the ideas that we have ourselves, because every thought, every word that comes forward from your mouth is initiated by a thought in your mind. But how are you thinking? We don't think in, what was the term or the language of the indigenous Niiji? We don't know.
Right.
Okay? We have been conditioned for 500 years to think in English. So when your thoughts formulate in your head, they are forming in a foreign language. And what are all the thoughts and ideas attached to from that language you are thinking and then speaking? And as Dane does, and I appreciate that at the highest degree of his context of reforming the narrative going forward, he constantly goes to the 1828 edition of their version under Merriam-Webster, the definer of their foreign language in contemporary times. And all the origins, etymology, and all of the words and the constructs that start in that 1828 dictionary give you at least a starting point, not the correct starting point of when all this destruction happened, because you know that's pre-1492. Mm-hmm. But at least for the contract and the illegal criminal enterprise called the United States of America Incorporated, everything they have based on contract, on commerce, and on our oppression / slavery / integration in 2020 America is based on English, right? Right. English language is even incorporated in computer code. So yes. It's the language of machines and electronics. Yep. It has been incorporated in the financial world. So all banking transactions have to, at one point, I don't care what language they use, even Mandarin, Chinese, Bengalese, Russian, they have to transfer it into English language and computer code, because all financial transactions go through the Federal Reserve, the IMF, and the World Bank, correct? Mm-hmm. So the unraveling of it is us who were first imprinted, our ancestors, in English bondage, in colonial, industrial, colonizing 13 colonies of the United States of America. You see, we have to understand this fully, not just be making passing reference to this. Having said that, are we still in our continuing chapter discussion of the Real Pilgrims? White trash, the 400-year untold story of class in America? Mm-hmm. And they were white and they were slaves. Are we still in that continuing construct? Yes. Okay. Could you share with me, and for those who don't know, because we're now past, was it chapter 29, chapter 30? Yes. What did you mean by entitling the conversation The Real Pilgrim?
Are you asking what the author meant or what I meant?
You did, because you picked the title for the show.
Yes.
And the conversation is what I'm saying. So just in case, I don't think anyone may have asked you that. I'm asking you now, and then I'll bounce off of that, of what you meant by entitling it The Real Pilgrim.
Right. Well, what I meant was the real narrative of who were really the pilgrims, who were really the slaves, who were really the immigrants, who were really the founding fathers, and who really held the seat of power. Because when we think of pilgrims, we know what the narrative is. They came over here for a better life, met with the Indians, befriended them, yada, yada, yada. So I just put that term in there because the narrative that's out there today, when you think of pilgrims, you think of the first, quote, quote, Caucasian folks that came to the Americas for a better life.
Now, I'm glad you said that, because do you know what this is the 400th anniversary this year? Since we are running from the 1619 project since the year ended, you notice you don't hear a peep other than the conservative backlash now about what the narrative was being framed in 1919. I mean, in 2019 particularly. But 1919 actually was giving us the jump off, as we understood 1919 was the Red Scare and the Red Summer of white mob race rioting 100 years prior. Mm-hmm. But this is the 400th anniversary of the mythology of the Mayflower.
Right.
This is the 100th year anniversary of so-called right to vote for white women. And I know you saw the narrative being perpetuated in Central Park with that crazy, they're calling her the Central Park Karen, who was strangling her dog while screaming and hollering on the phone, lying about an African-American male was trying to terrorize her and assault her.
Right.
While at the same time, on Memorial Day, another African-American, so-called African-American male, was being literally killed with a knee.
Right.
In Minneapolis. Now, do you know what's the 75th anniversary, August 6th and August 9th? You dropped a bomb on me.
Tulsa.
Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Ah.
In August the 6th and the 9th will be the 75th anniversary. Okay, of the only place on Mama, not in Dresden, not in Berlin. You feeling me?
Right.
They didn't drop the atomic bomb on so-called Caucasoid Europe.
Right.
They dropped it on Asian Japan.
Right.
Now, when we are discussing this, I know we're having kind of all over the map here, all these topics. Everything we're discussing is a distraction.
Yes.
It is to divert attention from us. I've said this in joking with you in the past, and I'll repeat it today. Why? Name me someplace else on the planet of Mama, God, Green Earth, some would like to refer to, that everybody's trying to run to other than here. Please explain to me why. And when you brought this before with this context of the Real Pilgrims, where are these people migrating to, and why in the hell are they on my front lawn?
Right.
Nowhere else on the planet. Hell, if I'm to believe it, they're coming from the moon. If I'm to believe them, we got alien invaders that are finding ourselves all over the world, all over the storm. You get all these, so-called alien sightings, right? Now we're saying that we still don't know where these Caucasoid individuals originate from. Because remember, I said this before, repeating to you, that court case in France where the French judge said that white people were not native to France, and then turned around and added a little twist and said they're not indigenous to the planet.
Yes.
What compelled the French judge to
even say that? Yes.
So we're going around focused on others, never once focused on self. Just like I thank you for telling the personal stories you do, encouraging us whether we clean up our bloodline, sweep around our front door, search your family tree, look up your own story because it's yours. Whether you listen to Dane Calloway, me, or any other, in passing, we can't tell you nothing about who you are.
That's right.
Only you can search. Externally, that's the first problem, because you're having to look outside yourself. But it is to find out who you carry in your genetic DNA makeup.
That's right.
Literally. Because we are each carrying all of these ancestral individuals within ourselves. And we're having foreign invading people tell us what? We're not from here where we've always been.
Yep.
We do not belong. We are inferior to who? And I'll come to a point with this, because what y'all were talking about, whether it was in apartheid in Pretoria, South Africa, or Rhodesia, which is Cecil Rhodes, one of the major bigots and white supremacists that started and created De Beers and the diamond industry to extract from Mama Earth. And then on the other side is the gold in South Africa, whether it be, Anunnaki or whomever,
right?
Okay, to extract from the bowels of Mama Earth, while we're being told to look somewhere else out of African mythology. And by the way, you were asking about finding your roots. That is correct. Howard Gates, the scam artist Gates, he had some of those fake chosen ones this week. You may be familiar with the actor Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
In the Jurassic Park series. He went into a very detailed record of 3 individuals about their fake chosen status, which always circles back to the Holocaust. and to Deutschland. Who called it Deutschland? Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
What is Deutschland? The Dutch East Indian Company?
Yep.
The Dutch East Indian Company. They didn't go to Hindustan, did they? Where did they come and set up shop? Here. On the coast of Turtle Island and the Caribbean chain.
Yep.
The other part of the Dutch East/West Company was which went down to Swaziland, Bantuland, Zulu Kingdom, right? So the Dutch East Indian Company went to the transplanted bases of the Anunnaki in so-called South Africa where gold was extracted, right? And then they came to Turtle Island to set up what? Trade line?
Yep.
And institute the commerce that you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are we getting to the bottom of what you're analyzing for us to try to bring scrutiny as to the bloodline and the monarchy? Who are these people? I leave this question in party. Who are these bloodline created individuals, whether they're melanated or not, that are called monarchy and royalty, supplanting the continent, aboriginal population, wherever you want to point to on the planet? What's the agenda? What's the plan?
Right.
What's the intention? And the narrative is the actual indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous people's story that is not on record, I'm using air quotes, documented in paper, but is oral from millennia on millennia, possibly millions of years. And I yield.
All right, brother 832. Thank you so much, brother. Peace and love. Great information as always. And just so you know, they're messing with your feed tonight because I really had to struggle to hear you. You had a lot of static. They kept dropping your voice, etc. All right, let's go to 216. I hadn't forgotten about you, brother. I saw you in the queue. 216, your line is open.
Hello. Greetings, Sister Rhonda. How are you?
I'm well, brother.
Great. And greetings to Big Brother Sean and Big Sister Sandra. And yeah, I want to let you know I'm a lead too, on my mother's side. But I wanted to add, because I really enjoy and love that brother's research and his due diligence and what he speaks, the brother 832. Mm-hmm. Me, myself, as I was putting in the chat when Brother Sean was talking about the Arthal Chronicles, it's a mm-hmm. Korean, series on Netflix, is that I remember this past summer I work in the travel industry, which I ain't doing so much work right now because it ain't really started back up again. But I had a group that I had to, I drive charters, CDL, and I had a group that flew in straight from Korea. Now, I grew up around, the Koreans that came here in the 80s, because a lot of their families were getting together and being brought back together. And this is, I would say, the primary narrative of Truth Uncompromised, is the coming together of our bloodlines and us knowing who we are. Yet, I was, it was a gentleman, I forget his name off top, a Korean gentleman that flew in from New York so he can speak to the people that I had to take around. They came in for a textile convention at the IMAX Center by Hopkins Airport, which is right next to NASA. And that's when I received my letter of recommendation from the White House doing an assignment for NASA. George Bush Sr. and Dan Quayle's administration. But I did want to say, though, that, when they came in, and I learned from our babysitter that watched us when we were young, which was Korean when my mother was working, we learned some Korean, and I'm saying this to say that when speaking to the gentleman that was, telling them everywhere that we're going and then speaking on the mic on the charter, I was talking to him, when I took them to lunch, after they came in, took them to their hotels, and then they came out, and then I took them to lunch. So I remember, when they flew in, of course, I've learned, I'm a Virgo, so that's a sign of communication, so languages and stuff like that. So I learned some Korean, or I speak some Korean. So, I don't really want to speak it now, but I will speak a couple of words. But I learned from, speaking to them, I said, to the gentleman when we were having lunch, because the whole group, they had a private area that they ate in, a private area. But I said, we were speaking about Korea, and then because when they came in and got off the plane, I said, Iriwaba, Yigaba, over here, look, So, and then I had my thing, showing that I was the driver for their group, So they were like, they were taken back in glee, I would say, to understand the language. And I'm speaking this and saying this because of, to know, as just as I'm adding on to what the brother 832 was saying, and everything that he said, is that, speaking to them, the one gentleman, I said, okay, I'm from an American Indian line called Sac, or they normally call it Black Hawk Indians, but Sac. And, here in America, the only people that are Americans by quote of Christopher Columbus, because when he came here and got to the islands, he had a Paleo-Hebrew interpreter, someone that spoke Hebrew, obviously American Indian, because this is the language that he was speaking to the people of the islands, whether they were Arawak or from the Carib Empire. Still, those are American Indians also, as far as the indigenous people of the island. So yet, I was like, okay, so I'm from an American Indian tribe, on my mother's father's mother's side, and then also on my father's father's side. And I know us to be the only Americans on this land. Everybody else, as you were saying before, they're pilgrims. And who are the pilgrims? The 13 colonies are the black nobles. Are they the pilgrims? Obviously so. So speaking to them, he told me everything that I said to him about the history and my bloodline. He said it to the whole group of people. It's 40-something people from Korea. So he said that to them, and he said to me at lunch, he said, do you know we already know this? And so the people that are listening on this chat line, the people that come across this platform, Truth Uncompromised, it is to know that are indigenous Americans or so-called Black Americans or blacks or African Americans, know that you are Americans. So even the first snippet that you played of Trump saying America, he said something about we don't want this in America. Americans don't want this. We are. Say what? We are the Americans. So everything has to pass through us, but not if you're in the jurisdiction of Rome or the jurisdiction of the 13 colonies. And then why wouldn't, as you would say in your past presentations, why wouldn't the white slaves, the slaves of the black noble colonies, why wouldn't they be pissed off when they fought civil wars for us. And this is the noble lines of the colonies that came here to usurp the American Indians. As one chief warhorse, she would always say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. But they did mix into our line, and they weren't supposed to by what the Old Testament does say. So as yet, for them to say, do you know we already know this? Okay, so, I've learned some Korean from the neighbor watching us, our babysitter watching us. And the way they say Oma is the way they say mother, Oma. How you say mother in Paleo Hebrew or Aramaic is Ama, Ama. So the thing is that a sister that I very much respect highly, she has a platform called Yisrael Redemption and has written a couple books, and she does speak fluent Aramaic or fluent Paleo Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
She's quoted in her book that all languages are derived out of Aramaic. So I said, wow, that makes sense, because wait a minute, Koreans say Oma to say mother, Japanese say it just slightly off, and so on and so forth. So with that said, as far as if you are residing in their jurisdiction because you gave up, and they made it easy for us to reside in their jurisdiction because they made our customs and our languages illegal when they enslaved us. But why wouldn't they enslave us as far as the so-called whites that were past our structure of America, the economy and everything was passed over to them from the noble colonies, because they were losing power and being enslaved. White people's like, wait a minute, we already fought civil wars for y'all. We know y'all as to be the black nobles. We know them to be the American Indians, but now it's our time. So even though that Pisces is the age of belief and the age of religion, we are coming into the age of knowing now. And it's not about what you believe anymore or your doctrine of belief. It's about what you know and can show and prove. Receipts, baby.
That's right.
So on top of that, as you were saying, I did work in media back in the day. So I did have an assignment when Winnie Mandela came over here with a crew of people or a group of people, and they were speaking to the American public because we've been sold that crock of shit, excuse my language, but big crock of shit. We've been sold on what was going on with Mandela, this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. And they had to come over to here to kind of like, okay, because they've been, free Mandela, free Mandela. Then all of us, yeah, free Mandela, we black, we black, we black. We African American, all that stuff, But at no time, as far as them coming over here, this was for the movie Serafina, too. They were premiering that movie Serafina. And for me to understand that even they know who we are, the Zulus, the Africans, they know who we are too. They're from the line of Ham, the line of Moab and Canaan, and so. But now we are all mixed. Our bloodlines have been mixed since the 13 colonies. So I really appreciate the brother for A32 for him dropping it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? And as I was saying with the Koreans, for them saying, the gentleman saying to me, do you know we already know that? We already know who you are. Okay, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Hey,
yep.
Back in the day, I covered Marilyn McCoo and, the Fifth Dimensions. Miss LaRue, she kept on hitting on me, and I was in a relationship at the time, and I'm kind of loyal to a fault as being a Virgo, even though she was fine, that sister was fine. But still, and then I was thinking, hold up. That's what they say in Houston, Texas. And I lived there for some time. But I was like, hold up, wait a minute, ain't she married? Ain't two of these singers in the fifth dimensions the wives of Marilyn McCoo and Miss LaRue? And I've heard that Marilyn McCoo's husband was kind of like Ike Turner. You know, he'll get in that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I ain't trying to mess with you, girlfriend. And it was Janet, Mike White's, the mayor at the time, which is black, his wife, that brought them in. You know, but just this past Passover time, this what as the song goes, the words of the first chorus and then the second chorus. When the moon is in the seventh house, Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace shall rule the planet and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But this past Passover, Jupiter was aligned with Mars. It was a super moon, you know, and I had my candles going. I did my Bobby Hemmett, spit my highly proofed, over 80 proof liquor to the four corners to call on my ancestors to bring me, you know, what I want and what I'm looking for, or at least show me. But I'm going to get that because this is the time. And it's not to be or feel prejudice against who were the slaves, truly, you know, because at the same time, as you said, we should be seeking repentance of generational curses, the parts that we played. It ain't for them to tell us, yeah, y'all had us enslaved. Big, y'all straight up have us enslaved, but now it's our time. But even though their time is waning because of, you know, the moon in the seventh house and Jupiter aligned with Mars, it's that time.
Yep.
You know, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I just wanted to add and say that, you know, and yeah, you know, I've experienced some things in my past, but at least I've always been connected, so connected to the spirit realm, you know, for things that I've been through. And I praise the ancestors, the universe, the architect, whatever you want to call
90 seconds.
For allowing me to meet the people that I've met in media, because I've met presidents, heads of state, all that, but I never sold my soul, and I never kept that letter of recommendation because I was too young and naive, you know, to accept that, for them to bring me to Washington and then put me through rituals or see what I would sell my soul for. Because please believe me, the family that I work for, as
60
somebody wrote
seconds.
in the chat, Farrakhan's father's from Jamaica, you know, Sidney Port, well, Harry Belafonte, and then the family that I worked for is from Jamaica. In fact, their family was the family which was the first prime ministers of Jamaica after England gave them their autonomy to operate, which wasn't really that so. So all I wanted to add, and I thank you for your time as I digress, but yes, get in it to win it, and you know, a lot of things that are an illusion, work through that. Get to where you're supposed to be and where you want to be, because the universe is here to help us all. You know, we all have generational curses. Power corrupts totally, or whatever that phrase is. But thank you. I just wanted to add that, and as always, thank you for your time and allowing me to speak on your platform.
All right, brother. Peace and love. That's
peace and love.
Sorry, brother, didn't mean to cut you off. That's Brother G. He's in the YouTube chat room. Thank you, Brother G, for sharing. And interestingly enough, Age of Aquarius was the song that I was going to rock out to tonight. So 832 picked that up in the ethers, and then you picked it up, Brother G. Wow. We can't make this stuff up. Okay.
You know, they really pushing to get back to Mars, too.
Yes.
So, you know who that reminds me of, don't you? Me, Gigi.
I knew you was going to say it because you love to say that name. That's why I paused, because I wanted you to say it.
Yeah, they came from Mars because they were dropped off there to do that mining up there or something they were doing. And then they escaped and came down here. And it's been hell on this planet ever since.
Yeah, okay, so Ara. And then I'm going to go into 832, what I had for you. Y'all know that I'm an avid gardener. So I start my seeds indoors before the spring hits to be ready to put them in the ground. So I ordered some gardening lights that are using LED, and they're like the color spectrum lights. So anybody that gardens and they do seed starting indoors, you know that tomatoes are the hardest ones to get strong because they need a lot of light and a lot of strong light. Yeah. Guess what lights I found out that I have to buy to really get my seeds off to a strong start? They named the lights Mars. And I about fell out. Because any of the movies that you've watched, the Hollywood movies that talk about Mars colonization, and the latest one with what's the old boy's name? I can see his face so clear. Ben Affleck's best friend. Matt Damon. Okay, I just remember. Yeah, when he was in the little Mars colony movie, and I think it was called Mars, he was literally growing his own food under the grow lamps. They literally named this light Mars, and it is the best grow light on the market. So none of this stuff is a coincidence. Now, I don't know if Elon Musk with his fake plant ass alphabet boy front, I don't know if that SpaceX rocket thing went up today. It was scheduled to go up to yesterday. I don't know if it successfully went up today.
Yeah, I think. It's rescheduled for Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, they scheduled it for Saturday. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Although they're saying they're going up, they really ain't getting past that atmosphere, but whatever. So yeah, very good point, sis. Very good point. Okay. All right, so we are officially in overtime with Raggedy Blog Talk. And just so y'all know, I literally got a message saying that they're having technical problems. Y'all know I can't with them. So again, next week, we're going to test out a new system. YouTube, it is not going to impact you. Those of you that are calling in, the number will be 515-604-9230. If you don't remember that number, check the promos on Facebook and YouTube to get it. We're going to test out a new system next week. Okay. All right, hold on a second, 832. I'm about to go to something that you gave me a couple weeks ago. You dropped on the family one of the names of who is truly in power. So not the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, etc., etc., etc. I told you all that anybody that you see as the face is not the true seat of power. So that includes Queen Lizzie, Trump card, all of them. They are not the true seats of power. So, Brother 832 a couple of weeks ago dropped a name called Payseur. Payseur. Now, Brother 832, they literally scrubbed this name off the internet. There is very, very little information on this name. So I'm going to read you the little bit of information that I found. Even if you go to Wikipedia, it's a very small blurb. So those of you on YouTube, you can see where I'm at. I literally pulled this snippet from a blog spot called Armando Legendro. Assets of Louis Cass Payseur. Okay, so I don't know what year this was published, but the title is The Incredible Fortune of Louis Cass Payseur. Assets of Louis Cass Payseur as recorded in book 665, page 20. The following is a list of only 1/3 of the companies which are listed in public records as the assets of Louis Cass Payseur, which have been assigned to the Louis Cass Payseur Trust Incorporate. All of the companies listed here were each issued upon formation 50,000 preferred or special class A shares, those being the only such shares authorized and issued, which shares represented the true ownership of the corporation. All right. So on this platform, and several of the guests that understand trust and all of that type of stuff, we have been telling you that these ultra wealthy people operate out of trust, which was also one of the reasons when Trump card ran for office and they wanted to see his taxes, and he pretty much told them to kiss his ass because all of his stuff was in trust. And he had all of his stuff set up like a major corporation, a major trust holding company, and sub trust corporation rolls up to that holding company. All right. And when he came into office at one of the press conferences, he brought a stack of files and he said, these are all my trust companies. And I have turned over control to my children to run them. So I am assuming he meant he turned over the trustee power. Okay. So I'm telling you all of this to help you understand the game of commerce. Okay. So, the rest of that, you're going to have to do the research on your own. I'm not going to give you a lesson on operating in trust, the difference between a private trust, irrevocable trust, etc. You need to do that on your own. And by no means am I pushing paperwork. I am telling you these things. So if you understand these things, even if you're not using these things for your own personal life, when these folks are talking, you'll start to understand and understand the connections. Okay? Because even when we were reading the Charter of Georgia, they set up a trust company and they assign trustees. And the beneficiaries of that trust was King Charles people. Okay? All right. So just one last thing. I do have to say, one of the rappers out of Atlanta, Waka Flocka, was on a radio show. And he picked up on game with Trump card, talking about trust and talking about how he set up his business structures in the holding trust companies. And Waka said he set his shit up like that. And he's like, let me shut up. I'm not going to say no more. So just a little side note, just sending a shout out to him, because at the end of the day, they always tell on themselves. And sometimes I believe it is purposely telling on themselves. So it is your responsibility to research and know these things. And I'm not even saying you have to apply these things to your life. That is your business. I'm not going to promote that on my show because that's your responsibility. Whether or not you want to do paperwork, that's your fucking responsibility. I am just telling you what the game is. But it's your responsibility to research and understand it. All right, so let's get back to Pesur. L.C. Pesur owned 9/10 of all the preferred share issued of each of these companies, 45,000, and the rest of the world owns only 5,000 shares of the issued stock. Common shares or non-voting shares are the ones where applicable, which are traded on the stock exchange, and they do not reflect the ownership as is commonly thought. Note, companies listed in the Fortune 500 magazine as of, okay, so this was, now we know the date, May 5th, 1980, are noted by the name of company followed by, and he has a pound sign. So I don't know if that got scrubbed out because it ain't given no specific name. So let's just see. This is not a complete list of the Pesur's assets, as this is only 1/3 of his holdings. The estate was filed in 3 different locations with different assets listed at each state and county site that it was filed in another attempt to cover up the ownership trail, but you can get an idea of the magnitude of his holding with this 1/3 list. So here we go. Lancaster and Chester Railroad Company, Shirah and Chester Railroad Company, leased for 99 years to the Charlotte, Columbia, and Augusta Railroad Company. Executed October 3rd, 1882, and recorded in the Court of Probate and the County Recorder's Office of Chester County, South Carolina. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, and just to let you all know, this leased for 99 years is pretty common with these folks. You also see that in China, where land can't be truly owned, you can have a lease for 99 years. And we also see that in a lot of the charters where it's set up for 99 years. Okay, so that's just a side note. All right, so here we go. This is Pesor's little assets. This is only 1/3 of them now. And this was back in 1980. Seaboard Airline Railway Company, South Carolina Division, along with the liens of the iron rails and cross tees of lines under the 99-year leases, which have been merged into the Seaboard Airline Railway Company, some known as, I can't make this shit up now. Now, you South Carolinians, these are indigenous names. Catapwa. That was a recognized, well, not a recognized tribe. It was an indigenous tribe out of the Carolinas. Part of my people, actually. That's an indigenous name. Shirah. That's an indigenous name. The Catawba Valley Railway Company, Chester County, South Carolina. Okay, so both of these indigenous names come from the Carolinas, and they just so happen to name a railroad company and put a leased it rather to the corporation for 99 years. All right, let's go on. The Chattanooga, Augusta, and Charleston Airline Railway Company recorded in Chester County, South Carolina. The Memphis / Charleston Railroad Company, the Seaboard Airline System of Railroads Company, as recorded in the Office of the Probate Judge in and for the County of Dorchester, South Carolina, in Book S 23 at page 7, dated December 9, 1899. Okay, so I hope you all are paying close attention to these dates and lining them up with all of the research that we've been doing with the series, the Black Nobility, and this series as well. The Port Royal Railroad Company, as recorded with the Office of Probate Judge by Barnwell County, South Carolina. Okay, so again, we are listing out, this was back in the 80s, so I'm sure most of these railroad companies then merged and all of that type of jazz. Okay. But we're listing out Paysour's assets, and only 1/3 of them. The Chester and Lenoir Narrow Gauge Railroad Company, as recorded in the county of Chester, South Carolina, formerly known as Wilmington. Charlotte and Rutherfordton Railway Company, as formed in the city of Lincolnton, North Carolina, by the Payseur family. Buffalo Union and Carlisle Railway Union, South Carolina, C&WC Railway, Anderson, South Carolina. Yeah, I know where all of these locations are, in South Kakalaki. Atlantic Coast Line Railway Company, Richland, South Carolina. G&F Railway Company, Greenwood, South Carolina. C&L Railway Company, Newberry, South Carolina. H&B Railway Company, Collington, South Carolina. C&L Railway Company, Chesterfield, South Carolina. CM&C Railway Company, Chesterfield, South Carolina. Asheville and Spartanburg Railway Company, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Atlanta and Charlotte Railway Company, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Spartanburg Union and Columbia Railway Company, Greenville, South Carolina. Southern Railroad Company, I know that should sound familiar to y'all. South Carolina Division, Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm willing to bet if we did just a little bit of research, Southern Railway probably became the parent company or merged all of these companies into it. Okay. Southside Railroad Company, connecting Atlanta, Georgia with Washington, D.C. Selma, Rome, and Dalton Railroad Company and Alabama Mineral Land Company of New York, parent to the famed Standard Oil, now Exxon. Now remember, this is Payseur's assets, but we only naming 1/3 of them. And this is only as of 1980. Okay, and peep the name Rome. So those of you from Georgia, y'all know it's a Rome, Georgia. We can't make this shit up. All right. Matter of fact, the actor Samuel L. Jackson is really from Rome, Georgia. Okay. Ashley.
Standard Oil used to be owned by Rockefeller.
Right, but he really didn't own it. Payseur owned it. He was only given part of it to control.
Rockefeller, he started it. But I'm just saying, to show how much money that Payseur had.
Exactly.
He bought Rockefeller out. Because Rockefeller, he left the oil alone and then moved off into his other ventures.
Yeah, I got a little bit, I got another snippet that's going to say that the Pacers financed Rockefeller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. All of those Rockefeller, Rothschilds, they didn't start that shit they sell. They not the end all, be all. Pacer is the financer. And
Because Rothschild worked his way up from a clerk.
Right. So the Pacers and them, they choose who they want to run these organizations. They choose the face of these organizations. And these organizations rose up to the parent holding trust company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in that article, they didn't say who Rothschild had got his start with. They didn't mention the name.
Of course not. Of course not. It's Pacer. All right. Ashley Branch and Coal Line Railway Company, Georgia, Carolina, and Northern Railroad, and its 99 lease to the Seaboard Airline Railway Company, Kings Mountain Gold Mine and Railroad Company, companies listed in the Real Property Book, 1734, page 62. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming SEC is Sequential Court of Probate in Alabama. Louisville and Nashville Railroad, Nashville and Decatur Railroad, Southern and North Alabama Railroad, Mobile and Montgomery Railroad, Georgia Pacific still exists today. Georgia Pacific and T.A. Louisville, Kentucky. Pennsylvania Railroad. See chart on Penn Central Company. $6.5 billion empire. So are you all catching the grandeur of this? Pennsylvania Railroad alone. The Pennsylvania
Ain't
Central
that on Monopoly?
Company. Huh?
Ain't that on Monopoly?
It sure and the hell is, Railroad. Ain't it? Ain't it? So Pennsylvania Railroad, which is a subsidiary of Penn Central Company, that is worth $6.5 billion just on its own, family. That's not including all the other railroads I'm listing that this Pacer owns. And this is only 1/3 of the assets as of 1980. Because if you peeped game early up in the article when he was breaking down the shares, he told you pretty much that all of these companies, they only had, the people that's the face of it only had like 5,000 shares. All right. Mexico Railway, Mexico City, Mexico, Mexican Railway, Mexican Central Railway, Guadalajara, Mexico, New York Central Railroad, Southern Pacific Railroad, Missouri Pacific Railroad, Mobile and Ohio Railroad, Charleston, Cincinnati, and Chicago Railroad Company. And in parentheses, he says, the Federal Reserve, narrow gauge, Camden, Lancaster, Charlotte, all in North Carolina. Georgia Pacific Railroad Company, number 56. Okay, now they're still in existence. Pullman Company, builders of the Pullman cars for the railways. Bank of Lancaster, Lancaster County, South Carolina. First Bank and Trust Company of Lancaster, South Carolina. The Lancaster Building and Loan Association, the Bank of Heath Springs, the Bank of Charleston, the Bank of Kershaw Mercantile and Banking Company, National Loan and Exchange Bank of Columbia, First National Bank of Camden, National Exchange Bank of Chester, Morgan Guaranty Trust Company of New York. That should sound familiar to some. New York Trust Company, the Bank of Richmond, National Loan and Exchange Bank of Camden, 284, Raleigh Savings Bank, American Trust and Savings Bank, Birmingham Trust and Savings Bank, Chase National Bank. So I'm going to pause. I know YouTube, you can see that. Chase National Bank? And remember, this is just 1/3 of Paysur's assets. So all of these organizations listed on here, who you all think are the founders are not. We're going to keep going. Riggs National Bank, Hanover National Bank of New York, Brandywine Bank, Maryland, Hamilton National Bank, South Carolina National Bank, Jefferson Savings and Loan Association, Bank of South Carolina, Bank of New York. Now, I am assuming that Bank of New York is one of the Fed Reserve boys. Bank of Macon, Georgia, Pennsylvania National Bank, Sandoz Bank, Painesville, Ohio Bank, Cotton Mills, Lancaster Cotton Mills, now known as Spring Mills Inc., Lancaster, South Carolina, number 319. The Eureka Cotton Mills, the Springsteen Cotton Mills, Dan River Cotton Mills, Danville, Virginia, Lorav Cotton Mills, Belton Cotton Mills, the Lancaster Cotton Oil Company, the N.K. Fairbank Company Cotton Oil, Chicago, Illinois, Thread and Sewing Machine Companies, Singer Manufacturing Company, New York. Well, damn. We can't even have a sewing? God damn. The New Home Sewing Machine Company, Union Square, New York Household Sewing Machine Company, Providence, Rhode Island. Hartford Sewing Machine Company, Connecticut. Rennington Sewing Machine Company. Domestic Sewing Machine Company. Clark's O&T Cotton Thread Company. Corticelli Silk Thread Company. Far and Long Clothers 42 South Tyrone, St. Charlotte, North Carolina. J.P. Coates Thread Company. But you know what? Now that I think about it, if they were controlling the cotton industry, the cotton mills, why wouldn't they swoop up sewing machines? So that makes sense. All right. Willimatic Thread Company and or Willimatic Linen Company. Chicago Kenosha Hosiery Company, Kenosha, Wisconsin. E.C. Stan and Company, Chester, South Carolina, watches, jewelry, and sewing machines. Brother, if you sending me something, I can't get to it now without showing it on air because I'm sharing my screen on YouTube. Electric. Here we go, y'all. Y'all, I got to take a swag on this. Now remember, this is only 1/3 of Pesur's assets as of 1980. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know, what I'm thinking is that he probably did, like a lot of the people who invest in, if they put it on the open market for the stock, and then he buys up the shares and he gets the controlling share. So that would be in his portfolio. So, because I doubt seriously if he went out there and started as a startup company, all of those companies.
I'm going to say again, he tells you at the beginning of this how he set up the structure. So I'm telling you, he financed all of these.
Yep.
He put into place, I'm sure he had a team of people, put into place who he wanted to head these up. So when he set up his holding company and started setting up these subsidiary trust companies, he issued the shares, or that estate issued the shares. So out the gate, he was the controlling interest. So if I have 1 million shares among all of my subsidiary companies that roll up to my holding company, and I own 950,000 of those shares, and I only issue 50,000 to the rest of the holding companies, then who's really the owner?
Well,
he didn't go
like
out buying this stuff. He issued, his holding company issued the shares. And I'm only saying that again because I want us to be crystal clear.
Yep, and according to that, it's only 5,000 shares.
Exactly.
That everybody else is fighting over.
Exactly. Thank you,
that
Brother
other
Sean.
95 ain't going nowhere, period.
Exactly.
So he got everybody fighting over peanuts. And people like the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, they got nickels.
Exactly.
In the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. Ooh, thank you, Brother Sean.
They fight over the pennies too.
Exactly. That's where I'm getting at.
They're puppets.
Absolutely.
These are the people behind the scenes, the people you very seldomly hear about. And the fact that they're being talked about so much lets you know that the party's over.
Yep.
Because what I sent you was some more articles.
I see.
On them.
The Spreaker one is audio.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll chop it up.
Email also.
Oh, you sent the Facebook email?
File. No, your regular email.
Okay. Is it
a file from CIA.gov? It's from the CIA website.
That's the one I was getting ready to read right after this. So perfect. Yeah. That's the only two things I found, Brother Sean. So you got an extra one on that Spreaker audio one, so I'll have to check that out. But yes, you described it absolutely perfect, Brother Sean. All right, we finna get up into these electric companies. Electric and power companies. Southern Power Company. I know they were in the ATL. I don't know what the rest of their territory is. Duke Power Company. Lancaster Light and Power Company. Potomac Electric Company. General Electric. I'll pause. Seward is the true owner of those things. Gold and silver companies. Reed Gold Mine, Gastonia Gold Mine, Gold Hill Mining Company, Kings Mountain Gold Mine, and Railway Company as above. Clytra Ora Mining Company supplied all the gold for the Federal Reserve Union Silver Company. Lotawana Silver Mining Company. Iron and Steel, Other Metals Companies. Lincoln Iron Company, formerly Lincoln Tin Mine and Smelter, now Carnegie Steel. Aren't we given the story of how the Carnegies came up? Yada, yada, yada. This, that, and the third. Woodward Iron Company. Ingalls Steel Company. The Ingalls Iron Works Company of Birmingham, Alabama. Carnegie Steel Company. Aluminum Company of America. And y'all know it is Alcoa. Now still, we're only listing 1/3 assets, 1/3 of the Pessour's assets as of 1980. Let's go on to the motor vehicle companies. American Motor Companies, General Motors Corporation, Cadillac Motors, Carolina Cadillac Company, Studebaker Carriages, Wagons and Company. Well, damn, we know that go back. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't GE acquire American and Cadillac? Yeah, okay. Insurance companies. Home Insurance Company, 119 Broadway, New York, from Orville and Selma, Alabama, allegedly the parent to all insurance company. Whoa, damn. So are y'all seeing the pattern? You have that main holding company. So we'll call that the grandparent holding company. And then you have the parent holding company the children companies under that. And as Brother Sean eloquently stated, all the way down from the parent, all of the parents and all of the childs have to share 5,000 shares. The rest of the shares are in the holdings of the grandparent company of the Pesurs. Now, this was just back in 1980. I'm sure those shares are probably astronomical by now with the holdings, but I'm sure the percentage of the shares that they are sharing with the parents and the children companies are still incredibly low. All right. So, Mutual Life Insurance Company of New York, Old American Insurance Company, Kansas City, Williams and Gregory Insurance Company, Lancaster, South Carolina, tobacco-related companies. So, us in the Americas being indigenous, we should enter and understand by now the tobacco trading game and how our indigenous ancestors out of Virginia had deals set up with those melanated Europeans, the Dutch, and then later the English, to do commerce with tobacco. Okay? So that's why when you look at the old original tobacco statues, they're going to be of a melanated Indian. All right. So R.J. Reynolds Tobacco, number 39. George W. Helm and Company, Helms Railroad Mill Snuff, Helmington, New Jersey. All right, so those of us from the South, y'all know what the fuck snuff is. With that coffee can where the spit was put into. But anyhow, American Tobacco Company, Regalia de la Francis Cigar Company. Hold on a second. Okay. So the watch companies, Elgin National Watch Company, National Elgin Watch Company, Illinois Springfield Watch Company, American Waltham Watch Company, the Centennial 1776 to 1876 Watch Company. Okay. And those of you from Illinois, you know that Illinois has a city named Elgin. All right. Waterbury, which is a suburbs outside of Chicago. Waterbury Watch Company, Land and Real Estate Companies, Alabama Mineral Land Company of New York, Wood Gin Plantation Lease of Frisco Railroad, Bondurant Plantation lease to St. Louis San Francisco Railroad, T.M. Hughes Real Estate Agency, Lancaster, South Carolina. Food and Household Goods, Gale, Borden, Eagle, Brand Milk Company, number 76 Borden. The Genesis Pure Food Company, number 50 General Foods. Heinz. Okay, so that's John Kerry's old lady is a Heinz. So if you think her family started that motherfucking shit, you can have several seats. They're the face. The Pesurs own that. So Heinz Pickle Company, number 139 Heinz 57. The American Cereal Company, number 176 Quaker Oats. I'm assuming that's what they meant. United Fruit Trading Company, linked to Grace Shipping Lines, Armar and Company, formerly Armar Meat Packing Company. And that meat still exists today. The Lancaster Hardware Company, Memaw Department Store, Bibb Stove and Range Company, Swift and Company, the Wilson Spice Company, Cleveland's Bakery Powder Company. Sorry, I had to, excuse me, cough. White Mountains Ice Cream Freezer Company, Arbuckle Brothers Coffee Company, King's Buckwheat Flour Companies, Lusto Cleaners Company. So I'm going to stop here because we only got a couple of minutes. We're going to pick up with this next week because I do want to drop that other piece of information telling you how the Paysours finance these other names that you think are the big leaders of industry that started things here in the Americas. Okay, so we're going to pick back up with this, and then we're going to get back into white trash. Okay, but we're taking this time to do this to show you how all of these things link together. And everything that you think is not what it is. So, with that said, we're going to go into last words. But remember, family, those of you that are calling in, next week, you have to use the different number. Check the promo. And you can check YouTube to get the number. Okay. Sis Sandra, you have any last words for the family?
Well, yes, I do. One of these days we're going to get to the bottom of this thing. No, actually, it's an interesting journey finding out who is fronting the wealth on this planet and what they're going to do with it in the end, and who's going to take it in the end, and where they're going to go once they leave here, because they're trying to get out of here, to their Mars destination. And plus, we have a lot of things in the atmosphere, a lot of ships of some types. Gina Marie was posting a lot of, like, battleship-looking things, hundreds of thousands of them. So, I mean, it's about to crack off on something.
Yep.
You know, and I'm here for the journey, and I hope the family enjoys the journey with us.
Indeed, indeed. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
I just wonder, under whose authority does he have the 95%? The fact that he's now put out into the forefront, or his lineage, goes to show you that somebody else is behind the scenes,
right,
pulling strings.
It's another layer
in order to keep the New Deal going.
Yeah.
Because it's over with for him, because all of these companies are going bankrupt. If he owns the corporations that we thought owned the world,
right,
and everybody bankrupt and starving all over the world, all those are his corporations that's taking hits.
Right.
So he don't have the power that people think he has.
Mm-hmm.
The power still is with us.
Indeed.
It's always been with us. I digress.
Indeed. So, family, thank you so much. I want to thank the family callers, Sis 310, Brother A32, Brother G, Thank you to the other Blog Talk family callers. Thank you to the YouTube family, Scotty Saturn, Purple Pill, my sis Millennial T, sis Divinity, Rhonda, it's me, JB. Oh, we have so many people in here, yeah. So if I miss you, just chalk it up to my head, not my heart. Sis Shatima, and I know I'm probably missing some things, but shout out to the YouTube family. We're going to depart with you now. We're going to rock out with the Age of Aquarius song. So love you very much, and we will be back next week. Peace and love, YouTube. Okay, blog.